The Benidorm Enthusiast here, and today I'm going to be chatting to you about a couple of things that have been hitting the news here recently. A certain type of shop seems to be causing quite a stir within the retail side of the tourism industry here, and to put it bluntly, pissing a lot of people off. The types of shops I'm talking about in the articles I've been reading are being called tourist shops. I'm not so diplomatic when I talk about these type of shops. I tend to call them shit shops or rip-off shops, and I'll go more into why I call them that a little bit later on in the video. And I'll also let you know a dead easy way that you can spot the rip-off shops yourselves and avoid getting ripped off. First, let's get into the reasons why these types of shops are ruffling as some feathers here in Benidorm at the moment. The first thing is the things that they have for sale displayed outside the front of the shops. Specifically, the really tacky neon coloured t-shirts with vulgar messages written across. I'm sure you've all seen them. Some of you have probably even bought and worn them, and while they can be pretty funny and just a bit daft in the right environment, some of them are really pushing the boundaries beyond fun and into offensive, and having them on show in the street for all ages to see, and often for parents to have to explain to their kids, is why they are being complained about. So earlier this month, a campaign was launched to get these t-shirts off the shop displays and away from the front of shops, so that people are no longer subjected to having to see and read what these tacky tops are everywhere they go. Benidorm City Council has decided to take a step forward and launched an information campaign targeting establishments that display these items in their windows. The objective is to put an end to the public display of products containing derogatory, homophobic, sexist, racist, vulgar or sexually explicit messages. Javier Horda, the Councillor for Commerce, explains that the measure responds to both legal reasons and the need to protect the city's image, saying certain commercial activities have been detected that may be considered irregular in light of the regulations governing advertising and the protection of minors. The campaign has a clear request: immediately remove any items containing offensive messages from the windows and frontal displays. Failure to comply with the instructions, the City Council warns that disciplinary proceedings will be opened against the owners. We don't want to reach that point, they said, but we must ensure that the regulations are respected and that an appropriate image of the city is projected, explained the councillor. So it's worth noting here that they can't stop these shops selling these items altogether, but having them on display in the windows and out the front of the shops breaches two laws, one concerning advertising and one concerning the protection of minors. And failure to comply with this campaign may result in fines ranging from €1,000 to €3,000. We can already see around Benidorm that a lot of the shops have now moved these tops inside and out of the general view from passers-by. However, we've also seen all this before. I remember a similar campaign a few years ago, and it worked for a while, but slowly over time the t-shirts crept their way back to the front of the stores and the messages on them got even worse. So I'm a little dubious about whether this campaign will work in the long term this time around. Just before I get on to the next bit of news on these sort of shops, which intends to restrict them even further, and why I call some of these shops rip-off shops, and tell you how to spot them, let us know in the comments what you think about the tacky t-shirts. Are they just a bit of fun? Maybe you've been and bought one yourself, or do you find them particularly offensive? Have you been on holiday to Benidorm as a family, as hundreds of thousands of families do each year, and been asked awkward questions because of these t-shirts? Write a comment below and let us know. I'm always interested in reading your thoughts and getting your opinions on these matters. Here's a tip that may well save you money but also hassle on your next Benidorm trip. Get yourself an Holafly eSIM by following the link in our video description below. An eSIM is a virtual SIM card which will give you access to an alternative data plan local to wherever you are. Holafly is available in over 200 destinations with unlimited data, which is for me what puts them on another level when compared with other eSIMs. You can even choose a regional eSIM like the European package, which covers over 30 countries in one plan, just in case you have more upcoming holidays to Europe in the pipeline. You can check compatibility before you even buy on their website or app, and installation is very simple, everything done in less than 5 minutes. Just activate once you arrive at your destination and your data is ready to use. And just in case you need help for any reason, there's a 24/7 support team. So follow the link in the video description below, and with the code Benidorm Stuff you can get 5% off Holafly eSIM packages now. Just click the link, choose your package and enjoy your 5% off. Big thanks to Holafly for sponsoring today's video. Okay, back to the shit shop news. So the reason I call these shops shit shops is because they sell all sorts of shit. From the tacky tops to souvenirs to cans of pop and bags of crisps and all sorts of shit in between. Even stuff like cans of pop and bags of crisps, which you would think they really can't go wrong with, well, they're usually shit as well, as they're often out of date. The amount of times I've gone to buy a can of pop and checked the date only to find it months out is shocking. So much so I avoid these sorts of shops completely now. That and the fact that they're also often a complete rip-off, which I'll get onto in more detail shortly. So, the Independent Association of Benidorm Merchants, also called ICO, is deeply concerned about the amount of new businesses targeting tourists, selling food, beverages and souvenirs. The competition and unstoppable growth affecting established businesses has led the sector to request a solution from the mayor, citing the regulations implemented in the city of Bilbao as an example. Benidorm's merchants are overwhelmed by the constant opening of these tourist shops, selling food, drinks and gifts of all kinds. Established businesses are struggling to compete with these small stores that offer their products even right through the night and until the early hours of the morning. The association has requested that the Mayor's office reorganise the opening of businesses based on the criteria of necessity and proportionality, ultimately limiting the incorporation of more retail establishments like those described. They say it's clear that these stores tarnish the image of the sector and would like Benidorm to follow in the footsteps of the city of Bilbao, which unanimously approved a local ordinance on these establishments back in 2015. This has been put forward to Benidorm's Commerce Councillor Javier Jorda, but as of yet there has been no response. They're now requesting the urgent recreation of a working group to establish parameters intended to restrict the type and/or the number of licences for commercial activities that could harm existing ones. So what do you think about that, guys? Should they start limiting how many of these shops can open? Are there already too many? Do you use them when you're in Benidorm, and what do you think about them? Personally, I do think that there are already too many, and if there were fair shops with proper pricing, I probably wouldn't say that. But the majority, and I say majority because there are a few that are okay, but most of these types of shop are an absolute rip-off. I swerve them at all costs now because they really just do try and swindle you out of every euro. And the way you can spot the ones that are going to try and rip you off is very easy. Look for prices on the shelves. Most of these types of shops have no prices on anything, so you have to pick stuff up and take it to the counter, and then they'll make it up as they go along, depending on how much they think they can get out of you. If they think you've got a few drinks in you, well, you can almost hear the ka-ching as you approach the counter. Like I said before, I used to use these sort of shops regularly for drinks, for snacks when I was on the go, but in the last couple of years they've just gone too far with their rip-off tactics. Some of them tried to charge me the last time I went in €3 for a can of Coke. I mean, come on, you can get it cheaper in bars where they have staff to serve you at a table and you get a glass with ice to drink it out of too. Absolute rip-off, and it makes me really, really mad. Now, a lot of tourists don't know any better. They don't really know how much things should cost here on average, so they just pay it. But then they leave the resort thinking that Benidorm is a really expensive place because these shops are ripping people off left, right and centre. So my advice to you is, if you walk in one of these shops that has no prices on the stock or the shelves, just walk straight out again. Don't even give them the time of day. Now, there are some shit shops which will have prices on. They're still more expensive, but for me these aren't as bad. At least people can make an informed decision before taking stuff to the counter and being put under the pressure to buy it once at the counter. I would suggest as well that you take a look at a video we did on supermarket prices earlier this year. That will give you an idea roughly of what you should be paying for everyday things, especially if you're going to be staying for a decent length of time, as we do see a lot of people doing over the winter months. And we also plan to do a video soon showing you some small independent shops which aren't rip-off shops and are worthy of your hard-earned cash. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that one. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't get stung on your next visit to Benidorm, and check us out on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok at the Benidorm Enthusiast for more travel and money saving tips. Stay positive and stay safe.